International Channel. We are in another episode. Actually, this is season 2. We are already recording season 1. You remember the last week's episode about drug addiction and how our brother was delivered, our mission coordinator was delivered by drug addiction by the Lord. And today we are here again on this evening in this scenic view of the residents of our campus staff, who is PHILEMON ADEK. So welcome in this episode again. We pray and we wish that you learn more about our campus staff. For those who don't know him very well, he's almost on 27th of July. We've been happy to have him, and we know now it's now time to maybe to step up and do something else, which maybe he's going to tell us what he's going to do after that. But anyway, he's here, and it's good to have you, sir. Thank you very much. And how are you doing? How has it been today?
I'm doing well. Today has been a good day. Spend the rest of the time indoors until the time you texted you can. So actually this is my first time out since the day began.
You just been meditating?
I've just been checking on the relevant jobs to apply, but also reflecting much on how the journey has been, but also going through a few materials, reading here and there and catching up with myself.
Well, people are different. I think I can't stay in the house up now without going out. It can be so boring, but it's good on your side because you do it. You are maybe today Jesus were processed in different what do you think? Are you Gen Z? Or you are opposed to that?
Of course I'm a Gen Z, because Gen Zs are people are born between, I think, 97 onward. So I'm a Gen Z. So then I've been just following them online since yesterday, today, on Tuesday. So I've just been following them online.
Interesting. Anyway, that's other side. So PHILEMON has been here with us since July last year. We've been friends, and many of us know him as a campus staff, but now he has associated with few of us, and we know his side of the story, but many of our viewers maybe will have not known who PHILEMON really is. So who is PHILEMON?
Yeah, as he said, I'm called PHILEMON ADEK. Odhiambo is my father. I'm born and raised up in Migori County in a family of 7 siblings, currently with my mother only after my father passed on in 2016 when I was in Form 2. And so I'm born and raised up in Migori. I schooled there from class 1 to Form 4, then proceeded to one university where I did my bachelor's degree in education science, mathematics and physics by combination. Yeah, I got born again in 2015 as a Form 1, and since then, almost 10 years down the line, the Lord has been faithful in my journey of salvation. Yeah, I think that would be a brief description of me, but currently post-campus, I've been working with Focus Kenya as a STEM staff, which I'm called in Maseno campus staff, or CS. So that is actually me in a short while. Yeah.
You said you lost your dad in Form 2?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you got born again in Form 1?
Yeah.
How did you feel about it now that you are born again, and you are hoping that maybe one day they have brought you to school, you are hoping that maybe one day your father will live to see the way you are graduating and being successful, and so on and so forth, and you are praying as well. How did you feel about it? Were you angry at God, or did you ask yourself question? How did you recover from that?
Of course, one is to first submit to us that my father was one of the people who followed my academic journey closely, very closely, from primary. I was not badly off. I was performing well ever since. So he even took me to Form 1, and he was looking up and down for bursaries and school fees. Yeah, so when he passed on, one is that I think I overthought how will it be if the father who has been looking for school fees up and down, really keeping me in touch, wanting me to study, but also being aggressive, as you know, the typical African father. Yeah, but when he died, of course, I had just been born again. I think it was a year ago because I got born again on the 21st of August 2015. And my father died around July in 2016 when I was in Form 2. Still a new believer, not really grounded. But of course, I was strengthened by my mother, or the mother has been, or all through been keeping us together in prayers, and so that really gave me a shoulder to lean on. The mother, that is, gave me a shoulder to lean on as at that time when my father passed on. So I didn't overthink really about it. Oh my God, God, why have you done this? I didn't blame God. I didn't regret, but also I didn't backslide in my journey of salvation because of the father's death. But yeah, the Lord helped me. I healed slowly by slowly up to now.
Interesting. All right. So yeah, you have been a CU leader before at one university as a mission coordinator and a CU chair as well. I think so. If I am right. How did you get to be selected among the leaders throughout that journey? What were some of the things that maybe you were doing aside from your service to be elected in that position, and what did you do better in terms of the mission contest so that people could perceive this guy could be a chairman from the nomination committee?
Oh yeah. I think even to take you back, I have been in the CU leadership before, from high school. In Form 2 in our CU, though small, but I was welfare chair. In Form 2 I was the Bible study coordinator. In Form 3 up to second term I was the welfare chairperson. But then Form 3 term 3 up to Form 4 I was the CU chairperson. So I had been a leader before in high school. So when I entered campus, of course, I really admired to be in the CU at campus, where people are mature but also with the peers. So I really admired that right from high school. So immediately I entered campus, the first day of admission. After I was done with admission things of the school, I registered next in the CU desk, and I was welcomed. And I think that evening we had some tea outside as freshers were welcomed. And so as the students associations were organizing for a party for the freshers night, the CU organized for a tea or a coffee night. And I took that coffee, or I was one of the first years who was there. And so that kept me on toes. I didn't miss any other CU activity ever since then. But being chosen as a mission coordinator, but also as the chair, I didn't do nothing much to earn it. Yeah, because in the CU you are not selected because maybe you are popular, but also not because you are such vibrant per se, but also not because you have campaigned. So it just was the grace of God. Of course, at second year when I was being chosen as the missions coordinator, I was active in the CU, basically in the praise and worship, but also in the mission department, attending the hospital missions, attending the high school missions, but also participating in the on-campus and off-campus evangelisms. So when the time for election came, of course it was during COVID, I was nominated to be the missions coordinator when I was not in the school. And so that is just to say I didn't do anything to earn it. It took the hand of God, that the Lord took me through that path to mold me in a way. But also after serving as the missions coordinator, I didn't want to go back to leadership. I had my own plans. I wanted to hand over when I was in that year, hand over.
Was it like you were exhausted, or you just felt, I think I've done my best, I need to leave it to the rest to do it again, to do what?
Of course.
Better.
Yeah, thanks. Of course, not because I was tired. I really loved leadership. I really enjoyed the CU leadership as a missions coordinator. I enjoy it. And I think most of the people in the CU really knew me because I was on tours. Everything to do with mission, I was always there. to mobilize in the CU platforms, but also through even such podcasts and short video clips. I was vibrant in the CU in the WhatsApp groups. And so, of course, that did not earn me a position to be the chair, but I think that is one of the things that contributed. So I was known as a mission coordinator. So I was not tired with the leadership. But the reason as to why I wanted to just hand over and relax is that I also wanted to sit down and see people lead. So I just was prepared to hand over. But who is God? I was re-elected as the CU chairperson, a new post. Of course, I tensed and I really felt inadequate. I went to the beach and cried. I even switched off the phone for the person who approached me for a whole day. And afterwards, after I prayed and cried in the beaches, I just came back and I was convicted to.
Why were you crying? Was it like you didn't find that you can be a chair, or did you feel like the burden is too much?
Of course, I really felt inadequate to that beat. I really felt inadequate for that post because the CU was such big. Yeah, so the responsibility of the chair, because it was now post-COVID, the CU came back to its original state where people are many and vibrant and activities and programs are on toes. So just that responsibility, or those responsibilities of the chairperson, made me feel so inadequate. But also I had my plans that I wanted to do in that year. I wanted to start some business around campus. And so seeing that maybe this would not come out as I had expected, one of the reasons why I cried was that, God, I had planned my things, but here you come, you want me to do this. Who am I to say no? And so that made me break down into tears, cry, also in addition to the feeling of inadequacy. Yeah.
So what were some of the best moment when you were in the mission?
One is that I don't think if I faced any challenge, I would say the best moments. One are those moments of going to hospital missions. We were then, or it's still up to now, every Sunday morning from around 6:30. Yeah, the mission department with the CU families, because our CU was divided into families, so respective family in the CU and other members of the mission department and any other person in the CU, we would go for hospital missions in the Kilifi County Hospital very early in the morning from 6:30. So we would only come in back to the campus for a second service because the first service was from 6:30 to 8:30. I think that was so refreshing. Those moments going to get in touch into the lives of patients in the hospital, that really gave me passion and motivation to, get involved in the lives of the sick people in the hospital. But also another high moment, or the good moments, was the times when I planned, or with my subcommittee of the mission department, planned for the mission, annual mission to that end, and it becoming a success. We went to an annual mission at a place called Watamu. I think that was a high moment, just planning and seeing it succeed. That was really a high moment and I enjoyed it. But also thirdly, or the last bit, was the times when we had together with fellow exec members. Yeah, going for those bondings, attending those meetings, doing all those things, going for swimmings and just nature walks with the team. Those were refreshing moments for me, and I still treasure that relationship, or those relationships with those people up to now.
Now, based on now the chairmanship of the Christian Union, you're now like the head, and the population is so many, you're managing the subcommittees at every level based on the locus and the exec. And maybe you got there and there's something that you learned actually a value. For example, maybe you got there, you are impatient with people, and now you got to be patient. There are some people who come with excuses for not coming to meetings, or people underperform, and you're like, this guy, you can't just be serious. This guy, I thought this guy is a mature person. Not do just behave like a mature person. So what are some of the things that you learned as a chairman? Maybe to be tolerant, to be patient people, all those things you get them as a mission get. What was the added value from being a mission coordinator to being a chairman of the Christian Union?
Yeah, in the mission, as the chair of the mission department committee, I had 5 individuals who are members of my subcommittee. So it was just a small group, of course, all my friends. Now, being the CU chair, of course, that was a small group as a missions coordinator. Now, being the CU chair, I had the first people, the first family, the 11 of us, so the 10 people, me included 11, as members of executive. And so the number of the people I oversaw increased in terms of the exact members, but also the CU. So some of the skills and experiences gained as the missions coordinator helped me to manage this number, the members of the executive. But also just a highlight of the few skills and just things I learned from being the CU chairperson. The people are different, very different, and that gave me a large and an accommodative heart for people, because at times or occasionally some members will come late for meetings. You call them and they say they are at the gate, and if you look at the distance between the gate and where the meeting is held, and it takes 30 minutes for them to arrive at the meeting, you're like, if you are at the gate, why are you still not here and it is 30 minutes? So that really gave me a bigger heart for people, to be patient with them and take them to be whom they are, without me forcing them to be how I want them to be. Just giving them that time to catch up with things, but also to do and be them. But also, my communication skills really improved, because I represented the CU in the students' associations. At times we could sit with the registrar. At times we could sit with some, board of management of the university. So that improved my speaking or communication skills, even how I dressed and how I even talked to people in those meetings. But also I represented the CU in some other forums. For example, I represented the CU in the RSEC, Regional Student Executive Committee by Focus Kenya. So that really gave me such an exposure, improved my speaking skills. It also improved my time management skills, because I was to manage the time when people come to meeting and when they leave, but also my own personal time, because I am a student first before I became the CU leader. So just managing my time. When am I in class? When am I there for group discussions? But also when am I there for the 11 exec members, so the 10, me included 11. But also when am I there for the church members, because I'm not only there as the chair of the executive committee, but the chair of the union. So that really gave me, that really improved my time management skills to that end, just planning on what will happen, when, how, throughout the week.
Okay, so maybe the last question about you serving in the CU, that what advice would you tell someone who maybe saying that, in campus we are so busy, we don't have time for serving God or being in the exec. It becomes a lot of responsibilities. I remember when I was in Siriba campus in the Christian Union, and I'm like, they used to have practices on Saturdays, around 9 up to around 4 or 5 there, and that used to be our day of reading, especially for the exec members. And I had one friend who is called my good friend Olanga Chimoto, who is a 6th year medical student. He used to go to those practices, and he used to leave his laptop in the library. Actually, when he was there, he would tell me, Sean, keep for me this laptop, I'm coming right away. And then I would think that maybe this guy has gone to maybe to the loo or something. Then he will stay for like 3 hours. And then I get angry because now I want to go to eat. And then he tells, and then I call him, man, I'm going to leave these things here. Where are you? Kumbe ameenda practice ile ya CU. And I'm like, how does this guy get the time to balance between going to the practice on Saturdays? That's the only day we are free in medicine, back in Cinema campus for reading. And he goes there and practices. And I was wondering how he's really balancing his time, and he used to perform actually better than me in class. Actually, there's a time I compared my results with him. There's a cut that he actually got 67, I got 43, and like, so this guy can go to see you during weekends and come back in the evening, Saturday and Sunday, and me, I'm actually always only there for like 2 hours, then I come back and but he defeats me still. So I used to wonder a lot of such kind of question, but I learned that you can balance. So what advice can you have to that person who is in the Christian Union, but they're only saying, I can only be a member. Those issues of being in the subcommittee, of being in the prayer and worship, mission, evangelism, outreach, I don't have time for them. What advice do you tell them?
Yeah, one is to submit and say that people give time to what they value. Yeah, and when you value your engagement in the CU, will give it time. And also as a student, valuing your academics matters, will give it time. You also need to grow in the social bit of life, you will give it time. So first, give time to what you value. But also I will give my second submission, that the leadership in the Christian Union as a student in the university, it comes with responsibilities actually added, because you are there as a student, now for your case, doing a medical course which is believed to be tough, so as they say. And so being as a student, a medical student, but also being in the CU leadership, and you want to be vibrant, you want to be present and participate in all those things, calls for priority. What do you prioritize? What do you draw your attention to? So then that gives you a responsibility of segregating your time according to what you want to do, when and how. But it is not hard, it is really enjoyable, especially when you get to segregate your time on when to be where, doing what, how and why. So then, as a leader in the Christian Union, you know when to be there for the meetings, but also you know when to be there for the practices, you know when to be there for your academics. So prioritize well.
Wow. So maybe you are now in focus as a STEM sub. Maybe before we go in your experience as a STEM sub, what are some of the what is really focus as a body in terms of their history, the activities they have for the CU, the leadership structure? What is the history of the focus?
Yeah, focus first is Fellowship of Christian Unions. Yeah, that is focus, Fellowship of Christian Unions. A body that connects and networks all Christian unions in the institutions of higher learning. In Kenya, first, Africa, but also globally. Actually, to just say, focus is the biggest Christian movement in the world. And so that is focus. That is what focus is. Focus Kenya began in 1973, and so then we just celebrated our 50 years last year. Began in 1973, and currently we thank God and we are privileged and proud to be working with over 64,000 students across Kenya, reaching very many CUs across the country. The focus leadership actually starts with students. Before we even think of where focus is located and who is focus, focus one is to submit to us is that it is a movement by students for students. That means students form the largest number of stakeholders that participate, support, work, or engage in the Focus Kenya ministry. How does that come? From the CU members, we have a group of representatives. The chair specifically and the secretary represent a specific CU into the region to form RSEC, Regional Student Executive Committee. Then from the Regional Student Executive Committee, RSEC, they form NASEC, National Student Executive Committee. Then NASEC sits with the National Governing Council to make the National Governing Body. But also, just to submit to us that currently the movement works or has 8 regions within the country, in addition to the newly born Lake Rift region, which was then or initially or previously one as Western region. So we have the Lake Rift region, we have the Western region, we have the North Rift, we have Pwani, we have Southern Nairobi, we have Northern Nairobi, we have I'd say North Rift, we have Central Rift. So we are 8 or operating within 8 regions in the country, reaching to over 64,000 Christian students in the institutions of higher learning in Kenya. Yeah, I think that would be the bit of Focus in a nutshell, but also Focus as an organization. I remember at the beginning submitting to us that Focus is a movement by students. That means students form the largest number of our stakeholders. Then that means, or what I want to say is that Focus raise funds. We do not have donors out there. We do not have sponsors out there. We have us supporting Focus financially, but also by prayers. Students in the Christian unions supporting Focus financially through their givings, through their tithes, through their offerings, by buying the books. Yeah, that is how Focus actually or really sources funds. But also we have other stakeholders, associates, who are students, who are the people who are former students in the respective Christian unions in the institutions, but have now transited to the job market and are now working, partnering with Fellowship of Christian Unions and supporting the ministry through their donations. Yeah, but also we have the staff who are also working closely with the students in all those respective institutions. Yeah, I think that would be a brief explanation of Focus before we even go to what Focus does as an organization.
So I think last year we had Ezra Conference 2023. Yeah, at Kabarak. That was wow, quite interesting. A lot of expositions there, a lot of topics that were discussed. Over 60 topics that were discussed, and almost 3,000 students attended. I think it was quite interesting. Really, that was my first function of Focus to attend, and I think anybody who attended that will not regret. And I think they are all looking forward to Commission 2024 that we have at the same site in December. So what are some of the conferences or the activities that Focus offers to students, or do they give opportunity for people in terms of even job marketing, if they get a chance, for example, in terms of the job market, job vacancies, they can maybe give an opportunity to students, or some, for example, those who have been in the exec and they have their contacts. What are some of the activities that and the benefits that the students gain from being members of the Focus?
Yes, there are a lot of benefits that Focus offers to the CU, and when I say CU, I mean the students in the Christian, the Christian students in the institutions. Yeah, to that effect, or that is achieved through SPS, strategic priority areas. One of them is discipleship. I will maybe explain in a short while, but also leadership development and mentorship, but also evangelism and missions. Yeah, those are some of the strategic priority areas. The last one is social action. In all those SPS or strategic priority areas, that is how focus impact or influences students. One, now to the specific roles that focus plays to the students, is to train or develop leaders. All the students in the Christian Union, in those institutions, focus do leadership trainings. So we mold and train and mentor leaders through trainings and exposure to some other forums. But also we prepare graduates or fresh graduates for job market. How do we do that? One is to collect them together in a common database, having them in a common WhatsApp group, training them, but also giving them some of the expectations of the things expected in the various jobs out here. Training them to be those who will participate in the ministry, even at the job or at the marketplace, but also to train them to support the ministry through prayers and financially. So we equip and train and prepare fresh graduates for job market through various sessions. But also we raise and mentor mission-oriented individuals or Christians or students to that end. How do we achieve that? Now that comes to one of the conferences that we offer. One of the conferences that help us achieve that or help us, inspire students to be mission-minded is the Commission Conference that you just alluded a few minutes ago that is to happen this year. So as Ezra happened last year or 2023, that was Scripture Engagement Conference. This year we have Commission Conference. That helps us achieve what I have just said a few minutes ago of raising, training, and mentoring mission-minded Christians. So Commission Conference trains, teaches, exposes, and mobilizes these students to be mission-minded even after they have transited from the university. Yeah, amongst many other roles that we play to the CU, we also train and mobilize Christian students to be responsible individuals out here who would take care of the environment through one of the spheres that is social action, who will impact the nation by being Christian students even in the political affairs or in the political field of the country or even of the world. Yeah, training them to be outright but also impacting the value-based Christian leaderships to them to that end, but also training them to be socially responsible Christians through the SPA, so-called social action, those who can take care of the environment, those who can preserve the environment and so on and so forth, etc.
So, yes, still related to focus, but now in terms of you as a STEM staff, you graduated at Point University last year. By that, you had been CS. How did you feel when your first approach to be a campus staff in KISUMU for KISUMU CUs? How was the feeling? Did you cry like you are the first time was when you were told to be the chair, or this time now it was even strong, you believed I could do it?
Yeah. I first say I didn't cry this time round. I didn't cry this time round. Yeah, why? Because being being exposed to leadership positions in the university affirmed my call for student ministry. And so when the call for CS or to join Focus as a STEM staff came, I didn't cry, but this is what happened. I was very anxious because I had been prepared psychologically through the VUCA sessions, but also by my siblings. I have elder siblings who are teachers, one of them being my sister who teaches history and Kiswahili. She had even looked for some other connections to, go and teach maths, physics in some schools. She had even forwarded for me some letters, some letters from some schools who really needed maths and physics teacher. I was also still a very passionate maths physics teacher. So I was really prepared to transit and go out there and inspire students as a maths physics teacher because I am very passionate about it. I love teaching mathematics and physics. So when the call for STEM came, I was very anxious. Number two, I really was doubting and questioned myself. What would my mother say? What would my siblings say? Who have really pressured and pumped it into me to transit and look for a school and start teaching? I really asked myself questions. But even before I consulted them, I prayed. I prayed and asked God, if you have called me to this, please, before I even consult my parent, mother, before I consult or even lay down to my siblings who are elderly to that end, would you convince them? Would you make their hearts up for this? Lord, would you make their responsible and encourage me because you have convinced and convicted me for student ministry to that end through exposure to the leaderships? So when that call came, after that prayer, of course, I made those calls to my uncle, my mother, my siblings, and to my surprise, their response was yes. If it is God's, if the Lord is calling you to that line, of course, up to now you still have a lot of time, so on and so forth. If the Lord says that is the path you want to take immediately after finishing campus, who are we? So long as it is the Lord's, who are we to say no? Grab the opportunity and go on with it. And that made me reduce pressure.
You got a sigh of relief.
Yes, I felt a sigh of relief and I really thanked God. So I grabbed that opportunity with a lot of vigor, with a lot of happiness. But in addition to that, I also loved Focus so much because I had been exposed to the conferences. I was a friend to the Focus staffs who were in our campus, the STEM staffs who had been there since I was a first year, but also our CMM. So I loved Focus. I had attended RSETs, 3 of them. I loved Focus passionately. So when that call came, I was like, if it is a chance to work with Focus, to participate in the student ministry, who am I to say no? So that also gave me a fire to even pick up the role and responsibility of being a CS or a STEM staff Focus came. So I didn't experience much challenges. One, because it was a conviction. But also number two, at the time of transition, as a VUCA or as a finalist, you still are not sure of what you really want to do. I still even didn't have a TSC number as a maths physics teacher, so I was still not qualified to that end because of that certificate. So just looking for a school would be hectic. Yeah, but also I was not prepared mentally to even enter those classes and teach. So when that call came, I was like, when other students maybe were not sure of what to do next, the Lord has brought STEM my way. I grabbed the opportunity. It will be a chance for me to recollect and affirm my call, responsibilities, and convictions. And yeah, I thank God thus far.
Okay. The journey for the last 1 year in serving as a STEM staff up to now, what are some of the best moments, the challenges, and what is your takeaway lesson as we exit the stage now for somebody else to do the job?
I think time may cut me short to just explain to us details how the journey has been. Of course, I came as a STEM staff in KISUMU town with no much really expectations, because I had not been in KISUMU before, regardless of the fact that I am raised in Nyanza or in the western region, that is Migori. So I had never been in KISUMU before. So one, I was just happy to be in the new environment, just excited for ministry, just excited to work among the students in the campus community. And so I didn't have any other expectations, so that at the end I would say, oh, I expected this, I have not found, So I didn't have any expectations. I came here with a very open heart and mind, that the Lord who has brought me here, you know why you have brought me here at such a time as this. Will you take me through? May your grace be sufficient. Give me wisdom to take me through. And so you just say, you said some of the things I have learned. One, I have continuously and consistently affirmed my call and conviction for student ministry, or for ministry to that end. Being a STEM staff in KISUMU, working with Focus Kenya as a STEM staff, has really affirmed that call, because I have really found my purpose, I found my satisfaction, I found my joy, my happiness, my fulfillment in working as a STEM staff with students within KISUMU. And so it has affirmed that call of student ministry, or even participating as a long-term minister of the word, or in the ministry of the Lord. But also that has really improved, or over time through the journey, I've improved in even my preaching skills, teaching the word and scripture engagements. That has really improved. How I used to handle the word when I was a student in the university is different from now. And so that I've seen that grow consistently with time. And I thank the Lord for that. But also, I have been challenged and improved consistently, slowly by slowly, in my personal devotions. My commitment and personal time with God has really improved. I won't say it was bad then, but it really dwindled. It was not as clearly defined as it is now. So that also has improved. Some of the practical skills would be communication. Being a STEM staff, working with students, one who may at sometimes be expecting you to know everything, but also who are maybe expecting you, now that you have been ahead, you have been a leader there, they sometimes may expect that you are perfect, that you do not have downfalls. That has improved my speaking, not really speaking, but communication skills to this end. How I engage with them, how I approach matters, how I even air out my view in those executive meetings. You are a witness, you have been in several of those meetings. How I talk to them, how I even call them, how I even comment to the text in the WhatsApp group, how I even dress, because it also communicates. But also how I respond to the issues of their lives when they approach me to matters affecting them, so on and so forth. That has really improved my communication skills. But also being exposed to associates, people who are elderly, visiting them in their homes with their children and spouses, That has really shaped how I handle myself. To that end, how I speak or just verbalize words in those forums. But also time management. At times you're given speaking engagement of 40 minutes or 30. So even if you prepared a sermon 10 pages, you have to squeeze it. You summarize and squeeze it to fit within the time limits you have been given. But also those meetings, you need to be there in time. My, dedicated time in the house. What am I doing, when, how? That came in handy through the help of the weekly planner that I have a being or having a weekly planner of the activities or events and places and times that I will do anything or everything, how, why, and when. That really came in handy. The bit of time management and also financial management skills. My brother, you. Yeah, sometimes you may be financially low. Sometimes you may have few cash. But the Lord has been really working on me on the bit of managing finances. What do I have? How much do I have? What do I need? But even if I need it, is it urgent? So that helped me even to improve my budgeting skills, knowing what to purchase, when and how, and why. Is it urgent? Is it necessary? Do I really need it? Yeah, that also came in handy for me. Yeah, but also networking. I've enjoyed that one-on-one conversation with students. I've enjoyed networking even with associates, and also even with the neighbors, with every other person I have met in those forums, along the streets within Kisumu, in the churches that I have gone to, in the institutions that do not even work with focus that I have gone to. Yeah, so that has really increased my social bit of life, improving my networking skills. But then lastly, amongst many other things, lobbying skills. Sometimes as a STEM staff into those meetings, there is a program you would really want to, the students or the CU to embrace and implement. That means you lobby from an individual level, calling the chair maybe aside and telling them what you think, blah, blah, but also bringing it to the executive committee meeting, lobbying for those things, what you would want to be improved, improvement in the programs and the structures. That also really came in handy for me, lobbying skills, seeing how to even communicate what your heart desires, sometimes being forced to be diplomatic, sometimes being forced to be democratic, being considerate on what you say, how you say it, to whom, and where. So that has really given me handy for me, and I really thank them. Given a chance, I would even continue being the CS for the Kisumu town institutions. I've enjoyed it. It has been a journey.
Yeah, thank you. Now we've almost come to the end of our conversation today. And maybe my last point is to the CS is, looking at that camera, what do you like to tell the Maseno University Kisumu City campus as you now exit the stage and give the play to someone else?
Of course, I have introduced the next person coming after me to that end. This is what I will say to the students, that given a chance to be in the leadership position in the Christian Union or in any other place, just know that God does not call the qualified. He qualifies them that He has called. So grab those opportunities after prayerful considerations and consultations, and serve the Lord diligently, faithfully, without looking back on what people say, without looking back on, your weaknesses, your struggles, blah, blah. The Lord continuously would work on you, but also embrace those opportunities and thank the Lord for them when they come. But if you don't feel, or if you are not convicted for the same, please just let it go and serve the Lord to the capacity you are graced to. But also secondly, sometimes it is not easy to serve the Lord as a student, because it sometimes comes with a lot of responsibilities, but also demands commitment, time, dedication, and sacrifices. Given a chance, please trust the Lord for the grace to serve, trust Him for the equipment and continuous conviction for Him to give even satisfaction, peace, joy, and happiness even as you serve Him. think that would be my parting shot of my advice or encouragement to the students. But lastly, in all these things, where is the hope? In all those engagements, serving as a leader at Maseno City Campus EU, to be specific, where is the goal? What do you want to achieve at the end of it? Let's glorify God and let Christ be at the center of it. Yeah, for the glory and honor of his name. Even to you. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, that's the end of our podcast today, our end of our talk show today. It's great to have those insights from you and those advices as well. I wish you well, like even as you go out there and now venture into doing other things, business, teaching, and even your wedding as well.
Oh yeah.
If it is the will of God,
Yeah.
as you look forward to maybe next year, as you are looking forward to that lady, yeah, we will be there to come and celebrate with you in the wedding. It's been good having you, and wish you success in everything that you do. May the Lord be with you and keep you safe. In December we are meeting at Ezra conference. At Commission Conference 2024. Yeah, see you there. It's a very quite interesting conference. You don't want to miss that. So, as Focus says about the slogan of the Commission Conference 2024, he says, "So as the Father sent me,
As the Father sent me, so send I you."
Yeah. So see you there. It was great having you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. I love City Campus and all the Christian unions I have worked with. It's a joy. Thank you so much.
May the Lord bless you. See you next time with another episode. Have a good evening.
Thank you.